Hello and welcome to another F1 experiment video on the F1 Manager game. Last time we did Gasly to Alpine, now it's Riccardo to Alpine. Make sure to stick around to the end to see how he did. Let's get into it. After an eventful Singapore race, Daniel Ricciardo ended up finishing in P5, his best result of the season. And with 5 races to go, the Honey Badger is going to have to really impress if he wants to stay in F1. Oh, and I think I should say at this point that I made this video on Friday, which was one day before Gasly got announced at Alpine. So I'm going to test how Ricciardo would do if he went to Alpine. The first thing we need to do obviously is go and sign him. Now there has been an ongoing legal fight regarding Ricciardo's contract. He's costing quite a lot of money to get rid of. And to be honest, McLaren were desperate to get rid of him. He's not going to cost as much as the 23 million that was rumoured to be his buyout clause. Now, I'm just going to copy what was in my other save. This is how much Daniel Ricciardo was on in the Latifi to Glory save. So, let's offer him a contract. Let's see if he actually accepts this. Oh no. Jesus Christ. Good. Bruh. Good. Okay, so Ricciardo is in the car. Let's look at his stats. He is similar to Ocon. He's pretty consistent overall everywhere. So, you definitely get the pace stats up, but the consistency is good. Now, these two have actually been teammates. They were teammates in 2020. Ricciardo outperformed Ocon as was expected. But we'll see if he can repeat it again. But now it's time to check how the car compares and what expectations we should be having of Daniel. It's pretty close marginal differences. Okay, so we should be finishing in P3 or 4 by the end of the season, and I'm expecting Daniel to finish at least 6th, maybe 5th, ahead of 1 or 2 of the Mercedes drivers. Obviously, I'm not going to comment on the car's overall development throughout the season because I'm sure you don't really care about that. So I'm just going to say that we are going to develop this car over the season. Okay, so let's run through how the season is going to work. So we will sim every practice session, we'll sim every qualifying session, and in Bahrain only, I'm going to comment on the qualifying performance. Then we sim the race and I'll comment on everything that happened in it at the end. Sounds good? Let's get into it. Okay, so not what I was expecting. Qualifying has been very poor for Ricciardo this season, but he's actually out-qualified Ocon, made it to Q3, and ended up in 10th. Okay, so the first race is done, and it was not a very good one. Daniel started ahead of Esteban, had a better strategy, and made 2 mistakes which dropped him out of the points. He was very close to Gasly, but he was fighting for 1 point when Esteban was fighting for 6. It's not the best start, can't lie. Esteban had a great race. Yep, didn't make any mistakes. Daniel did. So in the drivers, obviously, it stays how it is because it's the first race, and in the constructors, we're 5th behind Alpha. But I know this, the car is capable of being 3rd. The points, Ricciardo got quite a few because he kept chopping and changing with other drivers, and Esteban gets 800. Alright, so that is a much better result. Let me explain. So about a quarter way through the race, Russell and Hamilton had a crash. They crashed into each other. They both dropped to the back. This gave us a great opportunity to pit one of our cars. So I pitted Daniel, he was in front. So why not go for a different strategy? This eventually led to him leading the race for quite a few laps. Then I pitted him for fresh tyres because his tyres wouldn't make it to the end. And he was so close, 1 or 2 laps more, and he might have got a podium. But still, look how close he was to Sainz and Verstappen. 2/10 in it. Great signs, to be honest. And Mercedes dropping points because they are idiots. And Ocon getting some good points as well. So let's look at the drivers. They're 5th and 6th in the drivers, going ahead of both Mercedes. And in the constructors, we're up to 3rd after a very good weekend. So a more disappointing race. We qualified pretty well, but I mean, the 1 stop wasn't the way. It was definitely a 2-stop race, but that's the risk you have to take. Hamilton managed to stay in 5th, got very lucky. Bottas was on the charge. But to be honest, it's still points. We still got double points. They've dropped in the standings, and we've dropped in the standings, but we're equal with Mercedes. For being real, it isn't that bad of a weekend. Okay, Ocon will put the point into braking, get the pace up, because, I mean, he needs it, just like Ricciardo needs it, but for being real, he's not going to get many points because his growth potential is low. Okay, so a pretty forgettable race. Once again, we got double points, but still, we were miles off the Mercedes. We're still waiting on those good upgrades to actually make us a little bit competitive. So this is the best we can do for now. And drivers, Ocon is still 6th and Riccardo has moved down 2 positions. It is very close in this bit though. And in the constructors, we are 4th, 12 points behind Mercedes. If we can just keep tabs with them in these early stages, we should be pretty good. So an eventful race, quite a lot happened in this one. So once again, another rain affected race. And we finished in a decent position, but it could have been better. So we probably should have pitted maybe a lap earlier onto the Inters. And then there was a safety car because a certain Ocon binned it. Yeah, he retired. Very annoying, caused a safety car, helped Daniel out quite a lot. But quite a few cars pitted for full wet, even though it was only going to be heavy rain for 4 minutes. So I stayed out, got Daniel up to 3rd, but ultimately there wasn't enough laps to warrant pitting again. 6th was the best thing we could do. Bottas though, getting 3rd is very, very good for him. Not so good for us, but still. Riccardo goes up 2 positions, Ocon goes down 2 positions, and we have gone down in the constructors. Bottas has carried. Okay, so I'm not joking, it rained at Spain, and I don't mean a little bit of light rain, 7 millimeters. Anyway, let's explain what happened. Riccardo had a shocking qualifying, got knocked out in Q2, so we were already on the back foot. Esteban was in 9th, it wasn't looking good for us, but we predicted the rain perfectly. It didn't look like it was going to heavy rain, but it did, and it absolutely pissed it down. The one stop medium to wet worked out perfectly. There was a little gap where it went below 4 millimeters. A load of teams pitted. We were up to 3rd at one point, but ultimately we didn't have the pace to even be near 4th. So we'll take a 5th, and an 11th is pretty shit. But so Esteban's 6th in the championship. Riccardo's dropped down to 8th. Constructors, we've moved back above Alpha. They didn't score. Disappointing for them. Okay, I hate Monaco in this game. Anytime I race around this bloody track, I never have any pace, or my team never has any pace. Yeah, we came 10th and 14th. Daniel had a better qualifying than Esteban, but still finished behind him. I don't even know. So we got outscored by quite a lot. Both of our drivers went down in the standings, and we stayed in 4th, but we're also 33 points behind Mercedes. So once again, Baku has treated us very, very well. There was about 10 different safety cars, VSCs, about 2 drivers binned it while they were leading the race. It was a crazy one, but we came out on top, 5th and 6th. Hamilton got overtaken near the end by us, and he finished in 7th, while George binned it while he was leading the race. Overall, we got the strategies right, tyre wear, all of that. Ocon's 6th, Daniel is 8th, and the points. We are a little bit closer to Mercedes, not really though. Oh my god, it has happened. We have finally got our first win of this season. Esteban Ocon getting the win from 9th on the grid. It was a crazy race. We nailed our tyre choices and our teammate binned it. He was in 2nd after a safety car. Sainz got taken out by Verstappen and he binned it. He couldn't handle the pressure and he binned it. It was so sad, but at least Ocon got the win. He's stayed in 6th in the drivers and in the constructors. We've gotten a lot closer to Mercedes. Didn't have the greatest weekend. Russell in 8th. Hamilton did get 4th, good position. Another really, really good race. 4th and 5th. We just had really, really good pace. Daniel qualified really well. And then on the first lap, Hamilton went off and had a crash. He then finished in 18th. Pretty embarrassing, I can't lie. Driver standings, Ocon is 5th, gone above Hamilton. And Riccardo has moved up above Russell. Pretty disappointing. George has not really been that good this season. And we've gone above Mercedes in the constructors you love. Another good race. Good, incredible race. We got a double podium. I'll explain what happened. Off the line, Riccardo obviously qualified 5th. Was in a good place. Got up to around 3rd because I told him, because there was going to be rain after around 7 or 8 laps. So I told him to just push really hard with soft tyres. He got up to 4th. Then Bottas crashed, came back onto the track. Russell hit him. They both retired. And I don't know how Fernando retired as well. Anyway, that caused a red flag. Then Riccardo was like 4th. I just kept him on the same set of softs. And yeah, he overtook, went into first. Ocon did the same, he went into second. Then the rain came down, we nailed the rain. There was 5 stops for us, 7 for everyone else, because we nailed it. We went into the wets straight away, and that was the right call. And then the inters for a little bit, then the wets again, then the inters, then the dries at the perfect time. Like, crazy race, but we got every call spot on. Drivers, 5th and 7th. Ocon, 7 points clear of Hamilton, and then we're 3rd in the constructors. Alright, so a decent race. We had a good qualifying. We did qualify 5th and 6th, but with penalties, we moved up, but obviously we didn't have the pace for the podium. We're looking in much better shape than the Mercedes, though. They were a minute behind 6th place Riccardo. Maybe we've improved the car enough that we're better than them now. Drivers, we stay in 5th and 7th. Decent bit of points, and we are now 37 points clear of Mercedes. It's looking pretty good, but the season is long. So a very frustrating race. It looks pretty good. Riccardo got 5th, which is a very good result. We qualified 6th and 7th, but where's Ocon? He's down in 20th, retired. It wasn't his fault. He didn't bin the car. I don't even know what happened. So after he pitted, when he went out of the pit lane, he I don't think he spun. He sort of just ended up on, I'll show a picture right now. He just sort of ended up on this curb. I don't understand why. And he was there for like 4 laps, and then he just started up again. So I just retired him because he was like 5 minutes behind Latifi. But like, what? It stays the same in the drivers and in the constructors. We're 41 points clear. Okay, so we're at the halfway point in the season. It is the summer break. We have some upgrades coming in. We've just finished some more facility upgrades, and we need to check up on the car. So when we started this, we were the 4th best car. We were worse than Mercedes, but now we are better than Mercedes in every way, pretty much. So that's where we're looking. Our drivers have only gone up 1 rating, and in the car development, we're going for the 4th design center, and we're gonna go for a maxed out weather center because they really do help, and a max team hub and race simulator. It looks pretty good. We're in a much better position than Mercedes. We should finish 3rd in the constructors by the end of the season, but obviously I'd love to get a bit higher, maybe get one of our drivers into 4th, maybe even 3rd. Finally, it has happened. What a crazy race. Belgium is always mad on this game, but it's always awful in real life. But it always causes safety cars because there's always crashes at the final corner. But let's talk about it. Where's Ocon? He retired again. But this time it was his fault because he binned it. Last corner, he didn't even crash into anyone. He was running in 2nd. He didn't even take anyone out, so it wasn't even worth it. So he came 19th. And then Riccardo was in a nice 3rd place. He was in a good place. There was 4 drivers way above the rest, and they were all just staying the same. It was like a small DRS train. Then the 2 drivers in front of Riccardo binned each other. Max crashed into Carlos, or the other way around. I'm pretty sure Max got punted, but I have no idea. So Riccardo was in a net P1. There was only 4 laps to go, and he held off Leclerc. Didn't make any mistakes, unlike his teammate, and he got his win. It has been a long time coming. He's been getting slowly better in the season, but finally it's come and he's got the win. Drivers standings, he's moved up to 5th. Ocon has dropped down to 7th, deservedly. And in the constructors, we are 44 points clear of Mercedes. What a weekend. Finally Riccardo's got his win, and you just love to see it. Another really weird race. I feel bad for Ocon, he got really fucked over, but let's talk about it. So once again, rain. Hamilton was leading the race at the start. It wasn't raining right at the start. Then there was a safety car, and then I saw Hamilton was leading. I was like, what the hell has happened? Hamilton just had pace for some reason. Then restart. We were in 2nd and 3rd, I think. And then the rain came down. We were perfect with our timing. And then when our tyres ran out, we went on to another intercept. It worked out, and then it went dry. It said it was going to rain, and then it didn't rain. And Ocon just went past the pit lane, and Riccardo was right next to the pit lane, so I pitted him. I had to leave Ocon out. I would have lost way too much time, but it's really annoying. 9th is really, really unlucky for him. Oh yeah, and Riccardo spun and went wide about 3 times. So maybe a fourth was in the bag here, or a third. But he didn't really have the pace. Ocon had the pace, but he got completely screwed over. So drivers, Daniel has moved down to 6th because of that Hamilton win. Ocon's still in 7th, and we're still in 3rd, but only by 20 points. Amazing race once again. 2nd place and also 7th after Ocon took penalties. That is a really, really good result. It was just a simple one stop. Riccardo had the pace to keep up with Charles and get a gap on the 2 Mercedes, so he deserved it. We stay 6th and 7th in the drivers and in the constructors. We do outscore Mercedes by 1 point. You'll love to see it. Oh, I missed this, man. I missed this. This is what I love doing in the Gasly video. Oh, I've missed this so much. 1-2 for Alpine in the Singapore Grand Prix. So, I think we were the only team that went for the long, hard strategy and then hopefully get lucky, go on to softs near the end during a safety car, and then just steamroll through everyone. That is exactly what happened, and we capitalized on it. We went on to softs late on, saved all our battery for the late laps and fuel, and oh my god, we did it. 1-2. It is so beautiful and fastest lap. This is the max amount of points you can get in a weekend, and we've done it. Crazy, crazy race. There were about 10 billion safety cars. 4 cars crashed at turn 13. Oh, actually, Norris didn't. He crashed at the next corner. But yeah, let's look at the drivers. Daniel moves up to 5th, above Hamilton. Ocon stays in 7th. He's close behind, though. Yeah, I don't know why I even said 4th or 3rd, because that just can't happen. Constructors, 3rd. 55 points ahead of Mercedes. You love to see it. Okay, so Suzuka is done, and it was not a great race. Ocon made a mistake on lap 1, dropped to the back, managed to get his way back up to 9th through the wet weather that we got. We got more rain, yes, and once again we kind of got the going onto the dries a bit wrong. We were a lap too slow, and that ultimately cost us 5th, but it's only 2 points. The drivers stay the same, the constructors stay the same. We're still very ahead of them. We're still over 50 points ahead. To be honest, 4th and 5th is not a bad result, but at the same time, we definitely could have got a podium. This is a bit disappointing. We got very unlucky. You know, there was a safety car right when everyone else pitted apart from us, and it just didn't work out for us. Ultimately, we then got lucky later on in the race. Safety car bunched everyone back up together after we'd made our 2nd stop. So we were able to use our fresher tyres, take advantage, and make about 5 moves from like 10th to 4th in about 5 laps, which was pretty impressive from Ocon and Daniel. Didn't make any mistakes, which was really good. Drivers, 5th and 7th still. Constructors, 70 points ahead. What a result! Ocon has been really, really good. He started on pole because of literally everyone in the top 10 took penalties, and he finished in 3rd. He had the pace. He beat 2 front-running teams. Then we can call that a very good performance. Riccardo really did just have a nothing race, you know, his 6th, you know, decent, 8 points. But Ocon, fair play, he did very well this race. Alright, so we stay 5th and 7th. I think it's going to stay 5th and 7th. Oh, maybe actually 5th and 6th. And in the constructors, we have come 3rd. There is no way Mercedes can beat us now. Okay, so, I mean, it doesn't really matter that much. Mercedes got 3rd and 4th. Riccardo got stuck in a DRS train. Ocon didn't really have any pace, but he did have a penalty from... It's only 1 more week for Ocon to overtake Hamilton. It might not happen. And obviously constructors were clear. It's finally happened. He's gone up a rating. I just put it into cornering. I didn't actually expect them to actually go up a rating. So a great end to the season. A podium for Esteban. Unfortunately, I don't think he's done enough. Unfortunately, he hasn't done enough to overtake Hamilton in the standings. But still, what a season! We've come, obviously, 3rd in the constructors, which is really, really good. But now, we need to get on to the question of the video. What would happen if Riccardo joined Alpine? Well, what Alpine would get is that they would beat Mercedes in the constructors. I said it with Gasly. Listen to me, I am predicting the future. I think some of the upgrades I made in the Gasly video have been nerfed since then, so this probably isn't very representative of Riccardo's full ability in this game, because he is the same rating as Gasly, but yet he still did worse. So I don't know what to think about that. But anyway, into the drivers. Firstly, let's stall a bit more. Ocon, his teammate, he outperforms Ocon for the second season. Ocon would get 1 win, 5 podiums, 1 fastest lap and a pole position, courtesy of about 10 million penalties. But now we move to the main man himself, Danny Rick. So what we would get is Daniel Ricciardo reaching 10 wins in F1. 4 podiums, 2 fastest laps and 0 pole positions. So there's your answer, Alpine. If you want some wins, go and get Ricciardo, man. So there's the analytical view of Ricciardo, but if you want to compare him to his seat rival, Pierre Gasly, definitely go and check out the Gasly to Alpine experiment. It's on screen now, and thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.